ቤቴ ባህል እምነቴ ዝና ኩራቴ ኢትዮጵያ ክብሬ ሀገሬ እናቴ ባህል እምነቴ ዝና ኩራቴ ኢትዮጵያ ክብሬ ኢትዮጵያ ሀገሬ መኩሪያ ጋሻዬ ነሽ መመካዬ ክብሬ በቅኝ ያልተገዛን የአፍሪካ ምሳሌ ጦቢያ ጦቢያ እስኪ እንበል ሁሌ ኢትዮጵያ እናትዬ ያንቺው ነኝ ታድዬ 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 ኢትዮጵያ Ethiopia, 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 Ethiopia. ቤቴ ባህል እምነቴ ዝና ኩራቴ ኢትዮጵያ ክብሬ ሀገሬ እናቴ ባህል እምነቴ ዝና ኩራቴ ኢትዮጵያ ክብሬ
Your MC tonight is Ato Jonas Haile Michael. As many of you know, he is one of the founders of the Ethiopian Association in Toronto and P2P Camp, and a true pillar of the community. Ladies and gentlemen, your MC this evening, Ato Jonas Haile Michael.
ለምናምሻችሁ እንኳን ደህና መጣችሁ እንዲሁም ደግሞ እንኳን ለብርሃነ መስቀል አደረሳችሁ። ይህችን ቃል በአማርኛ ከተናገርኩ በኋላ ሌሎች እንግዶቻችን ቋንቋችንን የማይገባቸው ስላሉ ከአሁን ጀምሮ በእንግሊዝኛ ቋንቋ ነው መልእክቴን የማስተላልፈው። Good evening, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great pleasure that we welcome you to the first Bikila Award ceremony and dinner gala. This is a historic evening, and we thank you for being here. We want to assure you that we will deliver a very interesting and worthwhile program. We have a very impressive lineup of guest speakers, great music, and of course, great food and wonderful company. We have 2 segments of the award program, and we will have intermission around 9 p.m. to give you a chance to stretch your legs and get dessert. At the same time also, I have a request. During that recess, we'll be selling a raffle ticket, which is air ticket return from Toronto to Addis. And I hope you'll buy, and you can just put your $10 on the table now, so that you don't forget it. And there is a little bit housekeeping that I want to let you know. The washrooms are outside to the left. And after this reading, we want you to, another assignment would be for each one of you today, at least to introduce yourself to one person that you don't know, so that when you come out here, you have one friend. At this time, we would like to invite you to dinner. Please follow the instructions of the ushers that we have.
ስሜ አዛለች ወርቅ ይባላል። እግዚአብሔር እዚህ ቦታ ስላስቀመጠኝ እግዚአብሔርን በመጀመሪያ አመሰግነዋለሁ። እዚህ የመጣሁበት ምክንያት የአበበ ቢቂላ አዋርድ ነው። ዛሬ እዚህ ልገኝ የቻልኩበት ምክንያት በልጄ ነው፣ በአልፋ አበበ። እሷ ሰርጓ ነበርና እዚህ አልተገኘችም። በዚህ አዋርድ ላይ ተሸላሚ ነች። ለሱም ደግሞ ህዝቡንም እግዚአብሔርንም አመሰግናለሁ። እሷ ስለሌለች እሷን ወክዬ መጥቻለሁ። እሷ ሀኒማን ስለሄደች ነው። ብትኖር ደስ ይለኝ ነበር፣ ባትኖርም ግን ህዝቡ ራሱ እንዳለች ስለሚቆጥርልኝ በጣም ደስ ይላል። በዚህ አጋጣሚ በካናዳ ዙሪያ ለሚኖሩ ወጣቶች መመክረው በእንደዚህ አይነት ሁኔታ ላይ መሳተፍ እንዳለባቸውና የሚያኮራን አገር እንዳለና አበበ ቢቂላ ራሱ የሚያኮራ ሰው ስለሆነ እንደውም አንድ የምናገረው ነገር ቢኖር እኔ በምሰራበት መስሪያ ቤት ጃፓኖች አሉ። ያ ጃፓን ስሜን አይቶ ኢትዮጵያዊ መሆኔን አውቆ ተደስቶ ምን እንዳለኝ የአበበ ቢቂላ እኮ በእግሩ የሮጠ ለመጀመሪያ ጊዜ በዓለም ዋንጫን ያገኘ ስለሆነ ምን ይመስልሻል አለኝ። በጣም ነው ደስ የሚለኝ አልኩት። እኔ ግን ካንቺ በላይ ደሰታለሁ አንቺን በማየቴ ብቻ ብሎ ያንን ያህል ነገር ያለን ታሪክ ስለሆነ ወጣቶች አገራችሁን ቋንቋችሁንና ባህላችሁን መውደድ አለባችሁ። የሚያኮራን ባህል አለን። ባህላችን ከማንም የሚያኮራ ነው። አገራችን ኢትዮጵያ በአንዳንድ ምክንያት አንዳንድ ነገር ቢነገርላት ውስጡ ጠለቅ ብሎ ቢታይ ብዙ የሚያኮሩ ታሪኮች አሉ እና ለዚህ እንግዲህ አሁን ምላችሁ ይሄን ነው። እግዚአብሔር ይባርካችሁ።
I would like to welcome Honorable David MacDonald, Dr. Kabisa, Ijata, Dr. Member Aklilu, and the 2014 Bikila Award winners. I would like to welcome families and friends of the 2014 award winners. I would also like to thank and welcome the many supporters that came all the way from Arizona, Washington DC area, Boston, Buffalo, Vancouver, Ottawa, and the Greater Toronto area, who are here this evening. I would like to thank our corporate sponsors, community sponsors, and individuals, supporters who have made generous donations to make this event possible. I would also like to thank members of the community who have participated in this nominations, members of the jury, all committee members, the organizers of Bikila Award ceremony and dinner gala for awarding the 2014 Bikila Award and recognizing distinguished contribution and exemplary achievements of fellow Canadians of Ethiopian origin and friends of Ethiopia. Tonight, we are recognizing all celebrating excellence. We all need to be proud that we are together to celebrate diversity, encourage excellence, and inspire the youth to achieve their dreams. A very special thanks to Bikila Award Board of Directors, Dr. Harabagitu, Ato Birku Menker, Ato Bahalo Atnafu, and Ato Tamrat Gabeyu, who have made unparalleled commitment toward the establishment of Bikila Award and the organization of this event tonight. Tonight our celebration shall be a celebration of life to all with that great character which holds your excellence, if you will, and the one that defines and shapes our world we live in and the future generation. Old or young, our community need to have a conversation if we are to succeed in community excellence and build a better future. We need to guide, advise, share our professional and life experiences to prepare them for leadership. The nobility of our character and the quality of our purpose as human exists in each of us, and it is in our control. we have a choice to uplift the spirits of our community, particularly the youth. ወገኖች ሆይ እንደ አንድ የሰው ፍጡር ሁላችን በበጎ ጎናችን ላይ ብናተኩር ከጥቂት ልዩነቶቻችን ይልቅ እጅግ ብዙ የሚያሳስሩና የሚያቀራርቡን ቁም ነገሮች አሉ። መልካም ነገሮችን ለማድረግ፣ ለመደማመጥ፣ ለመቀራረብ፣ ሰላምን ለማምጣት፣ መተማመንን ለመገንባት፣ ጥሩ ስነ ምግባርን እንዲኖረና ለልጆቻችን መልካም አርአያ ለመሆን በእውነቱ ማን ነው ኃላፊነት የሚኖረው? ቤተሰብ ይሆን ወይንስ ትምህርት ቤቶች? የእምነት ቦታዎች ይሆን ወይንስ የመንግስት ጉዳይ? ወይንስ የባህላችን ኃላፊነት ይሆን? እኔ እንደሚመስለኝ የጥያቄ መልስ እኛው ራሳችን እና እኔ እና እናንተ ብቻ ነን። ችሎታውና አቅሙ በእያንዳንዳችን የእጅ መዳፍ ውስጥ ይገኛል። ታዋቂው አበበ ቢቂላና ዛሬ በመካከላችን የሚገኙት ታላላቅ ሰዎች እነ ዶክተር ተፈራ ደገፌ፣ ዶክተር ገቢሳ እጀታ፣ ዶክተር መንበረ አክሊሉና የዛሬዎቹ ሌሎች የቢቂላ አዋርድ ተሸላሚዎች እጅግ የምናደንቃቸው በፍጹም ስለራሳቸው ስለደረሱበት ደረጃ ስንል አይደለም። ነገር ግን ከሁሉም በላይ አስደናቂ ስለሆነው የሥራ ውጤቶቻቸው ለሰው ልጅ ደህንነትና ኑሮ መሻሻል ለእኛ ለሁላችን በቀጥታም ሆነ በተዘዋዋሪ ስላደረጓቸው አስተዋጽኦቻቸው ብቻ በመሆኑ ነው እንጂ የዘመኑ ሳይንስና ቴክኖሎጂ እያደገና እየዳበረ እየተሻሻለ የመጣው በመጀመሪያዎቹ ፈላስፋዎች የሳይንስና ጠበብቶች ብቻ ሳይሆን በተከታታይ ተቀባይ ትውልድ እንደመሆኑ ሁሉ እኛም ደግሞ ከዛሬዎቹ ተሸላሚዎችና የክብር እንግዶቻችን አርአያነታቸውን ካልወሰድን ልጆቻችንም ከእነርሱና ከመሳሰሉት ሁሉ መማር ካልቻሉ የኮሚኒቲያችን ማደግና መሻሻል እጅግ አጠያቂ ሊያደርገው ይችላል። It is no coincidence that the awards are in honor of our own King of Marathon and the great Olympian Abebe Bikila. It is Bikila's mind and spirit that led to his brilliant performance and successive efforts to inspire the public and the youth in Ethiopia. Although his life was brief, Abebe Bikila left an inspiring legacy and a blueprint for success. የነገው ዓለም ተረካቢ የሚሆኑ ልጆቻችን ከዚህ ኮሚኒቲያችን ብሩህ ተስፋ የሚያስጨብጠውን ሊደርሺፕ እና ኢንስፓየር የሚያደርገውን ሮል ሞዴል ዛሬውን ይፈልጋል። የካናዳ መንግስት እና ህዝብ ቢሆንም የእያንዳንዳችንን አብሮ የመስራት አቅምና መደጋገፍ ጥረት እንደሚደግፉ ያው የታወቀ ነው። ፈጣሪያችንም ቢሆን የእያንዳንዳችንን ሰላም፣ ፍቅር፣ ይቅርታን ከልብ መቀበልንና ይቅርታን ደግሞ ከልብ ማድረግን፣ ትዕግስትንና ቀና አስተሳሰብን ይዘን ለሁላችንም በሰጠን ልዩ ችሮታው በመልካም ስነ ምግባር ተገኝተን በትጋት ሕያው እንድንሆን ምንጊዜም ይፈልጋል። ጠንካራና ሰላምና ብልጽግና የሰፈነባት የኮሚኒቲ ኤክሰለንስ ለመገንባት ምርጫውም ሆነ ፈቃደኝነቱ የኛው ብቻ ነው። ውድ ወገኖቻችን በኮሚኒቲያችን ውስጥ ካላቸው ሙያ ወይም ኃላፊነት በላይ ለወገን ወይም ለሀገር ወይም ለሰው ልጅ እጅግ ታላቅ አስተዋጽኦ አድርገዋል የምትሏቸውን ግለሰቦች ወይም የንግድ ድርጅቶች ወይም ባለሙያዎች ለሚቀጥለው ምርጫ እንድታቀርቡልን በዚህ አጋጣሚ እናሳስባለን። በትምህርታቸው የላቀ ውጤት የሚያሳዩትን ወጣቶች፣ ተማሪዎች፣ ቮለንቲሮች ጠቁሙን። ለበለጠ ውጤት እንዲበረታቱልን የስኮላርሺፕንም ድጋፍ እንድናደርግ እርዱን። በምርጫ ኮሚቴና በተለያዩ ኮሚቴዎች እንዲሳተፉ ትብብራችሁን በትህትና እንጠይቃለን። ምሽቱ የእናንተ ነው። ተደሰቱ። ስላዳመጣችሁን አመሰግናለሁ። ስራችንና ህብረተሰባችንን ይባርክልን። Ladies and gentlemen, we once again thank you for your support in sharing this event tonight with family and friends. We are confident you will continue to help us strengthen Bikila Award in the coming years by your financial support and volunteering in various committees. Thank you for listening and enjoy the night. Thank you.
Thank you, Ato Tesem. Namaskar. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are fortunate and very much delighted to have the Honorable David MacDonald among us. Please turn your attention to the screen.
The Honorable David MacDonald is a former MP, Cabinet Minister and Canadian Ambassador. He served as a Member of Parliament from 1965 to 1980 and from 1988 to 1993. He was Secretary of State and Minister of Communications in the late 1970s and Canada's Ambassador to Ethiopia and Sudan in the late 1980s. He has been a Minister of the United Church of Canada since 1961 and from 1998 a Special Advisor to the United Church on Indigenous justice and residential schools. For the past decade, he has been deeply immersed in the creation and work of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Honorable David MacDonald.
Well, thank you very much. I must say, when you see something like that, you tend to want to touch your wrist and see whether you're still breathing. But I am the President, and we're witnessing what became known in North America and parts of Europe as the Ethiopian famine. Now, it wasn't primarily or even mostly in Ethiopia. It was all across sub-Saharan Africa and across parts of the Kalahari Desert in southern Africa. 12 countries, 150 million people, 30 in serious risk. A new government had just been elected in Canada in 1984, the government of Brian Mulroney as Prime Minister and Joe Clark as Minister of Foreign Affairs, former Prime Minister. And they decided that it was not just enough for Canada to sit on the sidelines, but that they needed to show some kind of direct action and support to those whose lives were in jeopardy by the millions all throughout Africa. And I got a phone call, almost to the day today, as a matter of fact, asking me whether I would serve as Canada's Emergency African Famine Coordinator for the next several years. And that was the start of my introduction to Ethiopia. I had never anticipated when I was in my political life that I might at some point serve Canada overseas, and certainly not in a country like Ethiopia. If you stand back for a moment and think of Ethiopia and Canada, you wonder how they could have anything in common. We had a Prime Minister many years ago whose name was Mackenzie King, likely the longest serving Prime Minister that Canada's ever had. He made a comment one time about Canada that I think has stuck for a lot of people. He said, you know, most countries have too much history. In our case, we've got too much geography. And you could add that, I could add weather to that as well. But if you think about it, we think of ourselves as getting old. In a couple of years' time, we're going to celebrate the 150th anniversary of the founding of Canada in 1867. When was Ethiopia founded? Was it 100 years ago? 1,000 years ago? 500 years ago? Well, we're not exactly sure, but one thing we know is that there is a lively and recorded history of Ethiopia that is almost older than anybody can possibly imagine. So contrast that and the diversity of Ethiopia itself with its many languages and peoples and religions and those of different ethnic origin with a country that developed, in this case in Canada, apart from our First Nations peoples that we're still sort of coming to terms with, it was mostly just Europeans from Great Britain or France who came here 100, 200, 300, or 400 years ago. And yet, somehow or other, it wasn't totally surprising that in 1984, the government of the day said, we need to be a part of the response. And let me make it clear, it wasn't just government leaders in Ottawa who said we should do something. It was people in towns and hamlets and communities from coast to coast to coast in this country. I think one of the most dramatic responses that I encountered when I was working in that period was going up to the high Arctic. I can't see everybody here tonight, but I want to try a little recognition test. How many people in the audience tonight have ever heard of Panmure-tongue? I don't see very many hands going up. Panmure-tongue is a little Inuit community that sits on the edge of the Arctic Circle. A few hundred people who have lived there, maybe not for 5,000 years, but for many, many hundreds, perhaps several millennia. You want to know what happened when they started watching on their television screens 30 years ago of the situation of agony and distress that many faced all across the sub-Saharan part of Africa? They decided to do something. Not just by making a donation, the local Red Cross or the local church, but they decided to go to their city council, and they had one, and they said, we would like you to take all the money that you have in your bank account and to send it to Ethiopia. Even 30 years later, when I think about that, I say, wow. And some months later, I guess maybe even a year or two later, I decided to go up and thank these people. Thank them on my behalf and on your behalf. And when I sat down with the village elders, I said, now, what could you possibly have in common with people who live in hot, dry, dusty areas, especially during times of drought or famine? And they looked at me for a second. They said, don't you understand? I said, understand what? Look around you at where we are in the Arctic. We live in the cold desert. We know what it's like to be hungry and not have enough to eat in those times when the climate or other things work against us and we are starving. You know, as a result of that interest of Inuit people, we took a group of Inuit people to Ethiopia to meet their contemporaries. It was one of the great visits that I was ever a part of. So what happens in times of great stress and tragedy can be moments of human recognition and awareness. And I think, in many ways, what we've given to Ethiopia is less than what Ethiopians are increasingly giving back to us. When I look out at this audience tonight, when I think of the people that are being honored for their outstanding work in food security, in changing lives, in helping to bring economic benefit to their contemporaries, to their colleagues, I think this is a tremendous experience. People have from time to time thanked me for what I've done, but I would have to say, and I say it here publicly tonight, what I've done is small in comparison to what I have received in terms of the response of people. I talked to people as I came in this evening who said, we remember meeting you 25 and 30 years ago, and now look what's happening to our kids and our grandchildren. That's the thing that I think can happen even in moments of great crisis, and might I say even in the moments of tragedy. So being here tonight at this inaugural dinner for the Bikila Award, I want to say thank you. I want to congratulate all those who've come here tonight to support this cause, and in particular congratulate the people who have made this award ceremony and this ongoing effort to encourage and reward young people who are going to make their lives rich and full, not just for themselves, but for others, for their communities, for their families, and for the greater world. So thank you, and God bless this work.
He was one of the lead architects of modern Ethiopian civil aviation and banking. Dr. Tefera Degafi was born in Northern Shore, Ethiopia on June 15, 1926. His father was a peasant who owned a modest farm with a few cattle and sheep. At the age of 18, Tefera began his first job as a filing clerk with the State Bank of Ethiopia. At the age of 20, He was sent to Canada to pursue his studies. He obtained a commercial diploma in 1 year from Garbutt Business College, Calgary, Alberta, and later a degree of Bachelor of Commerce from the University of British Columbia. He applied himself to law at both UBC and at the University of Michigan Law School in Ann Arbor, before returning to the State Bank of Ethiopia as an attorney in 1952. He maintained his study, and in 1955, he took his diploma in law from University College of Addis Ababa. In 1955, Emperor Haile Selassie I appointed Tafara Director General of Civil Aviation. This was a time of great change for the airline industry in Ethiopia and worldwide, and he had to deal with the challenges faced by any emerging national carrier. These included expanding the activities of the national airline outside Ethiopia, converting grass fields to serve as small airports in several towns, and designing and delivering training programs for both Ethiopian airlines and civil aviation. In 1958, Tafara was appointed manager of the newly created branch of the State Bank of Ethiopia in Khartoum. In 1961, he was promoted to the position of manager of the State Bank of Ethiopia, the first Ethiopian to hold this position. Tafara was later appointed the chief executive of the Commercial Bank of Ethiopia. Under Tafara's watch, the bank had grown to a total of 100 branches by 1974 and was internationally recognized as the leading financial institution in the country. Tafara was also appointed governor of the National Bank. Tafara served as president of the Ethiopian Chamber of Commerce, honorary treasurer of the Ethiopian Red Cross Society, honorary consul general of Norway, amongst others. He was and remains a dedicated rhetorian. His expertise has also been sought by various associations and enterprises, and he has also served as the chairman of the Ethio-Dutch Sugar Company occasions, including the inauguration of private banks. In addition to contributing articles to trade and professional journals, he was a frequent speaker at international banking and economic forums. He is the author of 3 books, A Guide to Service, A Tripping Stone, and Minutes of an Ethiopian Century. Tafara has been the recipient of many awards and decorations, including the Medal of Grand Officer of the Order of Menelik, the Order of Merit of the French Republic, and the Medal of Knight of the Royal Norwegian Order of Merit. In 1974, he was granted a Doctor of Laws honors causa by the University of British Columbia. The Bikila Awards congratulates Dr. Tafela Degafe for being selected as the 2014 Lifetime Achievement Award winner for his distinguished contribution to development of banking services in Ethiopia and his exemplary life experiences.
የተሰጠኝ ከፍተኛ ክብር ምስጋናዬን ለማቅረብ ቃላት greatly honored by this award, and in my acceptance speech, you forgive me if I dwell a few words of what Ethiopia was in 1960 when Bikila win at Rome put Ethiopia on the map. 1960 was the first time Ethiopia participated in the modern Olympics. And the highlights of the headlines of the world press in 1960 said, "Barefoot Bikila, fast, a great win." His homecoming after the Rome event was outstanding. The crowds welcomed him as their hero. And he was received by Emperor Haile Selassie and granted a medal, and the whole event was a great achievement. I mention this because it especially touches me that I knew both the champion and his trainer, Ogni Niskanen of Sweden. We had known each other in the Red Cross, and I knew about his training. And the amazing thing was Bikila repeated the great performance again in Japan in 1964. 1964 was a special year because the IMF and the World Bank were meeting in Tokyo. Ethiopia was then represented by its prominent Minister of Finance, Ato Yilma Daresa, and Dr. Governor Manasseh Lemma of the National Bank was there, and I represented the Commercial Bank of Ethiopia. This was a great event because we saw the bullet train that was inaugurated in 1964. And I don't want to end the saga of Bikila on a sad note, but it so happened that it was ended on a sad note. In 1969, there was a car accident, and the great athlete became a cripple. For many years, I was Honorary Consul General for the Kingdom of Norway in Ethiopia, and it was in that capacity that I received a special wheelchair donated by Norway for use of Bikila. I remember taking the gift to the hospital and presenting it to him. And as we were saying goodbye, I was unable to restrain my tears, holding a feeble hand of a cripple instead of the firm grip of an athlete that I had known. That was the last time I saw Bikila. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Dekife. Just give a little bit of commercial here for people who are interested to know more about the biography of Dr. Tafarra Dekife. I would strongly suggest that you try to get all of the minutes of an Ethiopian century, and you will see what a remarkable life Dr. Tafarra has led. And also, despite the fact that he received humiliation and was subjected, to prison, he never lost hope. And in fact, he overcame all that, and his spirit and hope was very good. And it is after that he wrote that wonderful book. And I really strongly suggest that you read the book to know more about Dr. Tafarra and also about Ethiopian history of that time. Anyways, thank you very much.
Alpha Abebe was born in Toronto, Canada, to Ethiopian parents and has grown up deeply embedded in the Ethiopian community. Alpha holds an MA in Interdisciplinary Studies, a graduate diploma in Refugee and Migration Studies from York University, and an Honours BA from the University of Toronto. Alpha is currently pursuing a PhD at the Department of International Development at Oxford University, London, England. Her research explores how and why young members of the Ethiopian diaspora in North America engage in developmental practice and discourse in Ethiopia. The Bikila Award congratulates Alpha Abebe for being selected as the 2014 Academic Excellence Award winner for her outstanding academic achievement in her undergraduate as well as graduate studies and her pursuit of doctoral studies.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alpha unfortunately is unable to attend the event, but sent a video message accepting the award.
Everybody, I wish I could be there in person to accept this award. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it, but I felt so much love and encouragement through this process, so I want to thank you for this great honor. I especially want to thank my nominators, Zaiwet and Marka. Thank you for always cheering me along and for believing in me. It goes a long way. I want to thank my mom and my entire family whose support is what brought me this far. And I'm so grateful to God for blessing me with such an incredible community that inspires and nurtures young people. And what a great example of that is this award. I want to appreciate the Bikila Award organizers. This is a great achievement, and I know it's going to go a long way in establishing our community and inspiring our young people to pursue excellence and to serve their community. Thank you, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening.
Alpha's mother to come here and receive the award on our behalf. pleasure to introduce to you the 2000 Bikila Award for Academic Excellence and Scholarship Fund winner, Marta Gabriel. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure again to introduce the 2014 Bikila Award for Academic Excellence and Scholarship Fund winner, Marta Gabriel.
I just wanted to thank everybody for this. I wanted to thank my mom and my family for supporting me with all my endeavors and shaping me into the person that I am today. I wanted to thank God for guiding me through my life, and I wanted to thank the Bikila Award organization for this great opportunity, not only for me but for Ethiopian youth in supporting this community, because this is a great community in Toronto. And yeah, thank you. Have a nice evening.
Arዓya has been an active member of Young Diplomats since 2007. In 2009, she became a leader of the Volunteers Committee and helped her peers to volunteer in non-for-profit organizations. She joined the Summer Camp Planning Committee in 2010. At the age of 18, she was offered a paid internship with Young Diplomats. She was awarded a certificate at the 2013 AGM of Young Diplomats for completing her internship. Currently, she is a youth outreach worker willing to train her peers. The Bikila Awards congratulates Arዓya for being selected as the 2014 Community Services Award winner for her dedication as a volunteer in community-based organizations.
Service Bikila Award winner, Dehnnet.
Good evening, everyone. So today I'm honored to accept this award from the Bikila Award organization, so thank you to all the organizers. I want to give a huge thank you to my nominators, Nati Jambare and Saran Sahu. I've always been grateful for your mentorship and encouragement at Young Diplomat. Another huge thank you to the youth we serve at YD, who are constant reminders of how intelligent and powerful our community is and can be. Thank you to all my very supportive family members and family friends who watched me grow up and cheered me on and who encouraged me to pursue excellence, especially those who came out to celebrate this achievement tonight. Lastly, I want to dedicate this award to my mom, Marta Mulat. She has equipped me with the skills, experience, knowledge, and unconditional love that has brought me to where I am today. Mommy, you've instilled in me the value and respect and love for our community, and I thank you. This is because of you.
And we congratulate all these young ladies. It's all ladies. They are the boys. Okay, next time please nominate those good students. But these young women are inspiration and model students, and we really congratulate them very much. Thank you very much. At this time, I would like to welcome one of the people who worked with us all the way, Tamrat Cabello, the Secretary of the Bikila Award, to the stage. As Tamrat is coming to the stage, I just want to let you know that Marta Gabriel and Herana have received a scholarship of about $1,000 each. Alpha and Marta, I'm sorry. Sorry, my mistake. But we hope to give more scholarships next year. And that's why we are looking at this event as also a fundraising event. Now we'll continue. Tamrat, please.
Good evening. You look really fabulous, and you should trust me. You know why? Because I'm a lawyer. Bikila Award's goal is establishing various traditions promoting excellence. One of those traditions is going to be recognizing students who recently graduated from professional program of studies or pursued graduate studies at doctoral or equivalent level. We believe these individuals are role models for the younger generation. We also believe their achievements are true indicia of the strength of our community. Tonight, we recognize the achievement of 6 recent graduates. We admit the list is nowhere complete, but we would like to give you a snapshot. The first person to be recognized is Dr. Wagale Flate. She did her master's in public health, later obtained a medical degree, and recently she completed her specialty exam and currently is a practicing consultant in respiratory medicine. Dr. Wagale Flate. I'm sorry, I have to say, because of time constraints, we can't have these graduates to come to the stage. So if you are in the audience, please just stand up and be recognized. And we have a newly minted lawyer among us. He obtained his LLB or law degree from the University of British Columbia and LLM, master's degree in law, from the University of Ottawa. He articled with the law firm of Mangat and Associates, and he passed the bar admission course and called to the Ontario Bar just last week in September 2014, and a newly minted lawyer, barrister and solicitor, Tekla Salamaria. The third person to be recognized is, she did her master's in public health, later obtained her medical degree. Currently she's doing her specialty training in Ottawa. Dr. Tsita Miteku. She obtained her PhD in neuroscience from the University of Toronto, and currently, I believe, she is doing her postdoctoral research at the University of Toronto, Dr. Amsale Belay. The next person to be recognized is Dr. Maramawit Koito, sorry. She did her master's in PhD, and she did her master's and PhD in social work, and currently teaching at York University, Dr. Maramawit Koito. And the last person, I don't know if she's here, barrister and solicitor Sabla Mokonan. She recently called to the Ontario Bar. She's now in private practice, and we applaud her achievements.
Screen. Dr. Gabisa Ejeta is a distinguished professor of plant breeding and genetics and international agriculture, and serves as Executive Director of the Center for Global Food Security at Purdue University. He has been a member of the faculty at Purdue University since 1984. His career has been devoted to education, research, and international development. He has made contributions in human and institutional capacity building, in technology development and transfer, as well as in advocacy for science and support of the cause of the poor. Dr. Ejeta has served the United States government in several capacities, including as special advisor to the U.S. Aid Administrator, Dr. Rajiv Shah, as Science Envoy of the United States Department, and he was appointed by President Obama as a member of the Board for International Food and Agricultural Development in 2010. Dr. Ejeta has also served in advisory roles to several international development agencies. He currently serves on the boards of the Chicago Council for Global Affairs, Global Agricultural Development Initiative, the U.S. National Academy of Sciences Board on Agriculture and Natural Resources, and the United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon's Scientific Advisory Board. The 2009 World Food Prize laureate and a recipient of a National Medal of Honor from the President of Ethiopia, Dr. Ejeta has been elected as Fellow of the African Academy of Sciences, Fellow of the American Association for the Advancement of Sciences, Fellow of the American Society of Agronomy, and Fellow of the Crop Science Society of America. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Gabisa Ejeta.
With your permission, I'd like to make some remarks. First of all, I thank you very much for inviting me to this ceremony celebrating excellence in your community. I am delighted to be here with you to attend this dinner with all its pomp and circumstances, but I'm also here to listen and hear and learn about your aspiration and the ideals you want to establish after the events of this dinner. I'm really pleased to be considered and really flattered to be a guest of honor among these distinguished guests and fellows here, among the inaugural winners of the 2014 Bikila Award in Professional Excellence in Community Service, and particularly too in recognizing students for academic excellence as well as leadership potential. I applaud the winners for their commitments to excellence and for the great example that they have set for you, and particularly for the young children and students among you. I commend the leadership for your vision and thoughtfulness and for caring enough to invest your time and resources in establishing an event such as this program, and particularly a culture for recognizing excellence amongst you. It's wonderful in any society or any community to have a culture of recognizing excellence by recognizing the best professionals and great leaders in the community. But when that culture of recognition includes honoring the youth in any way, and particularly in academic excellence and leadership potential as you do here, it is a particularly wise investment that is likely to accrue great and unending dividends down the road. I have no doubt that what you started tonight will greatly inspire and motivate these young boys and girls as they move forward. What they may see and hear tonight will ignite a spark of motivation for excellence in them. Even though I fully recognize that I'm also certain that the foundation for their character, for their personal spirit, is already in the upbringing that they have, that you set as an example, as parents of these children, as teachers in their school, as adults in their neighborhood, because it takes a village. I want to mention one particular thing that I would like to draw your attention to, without being insulting of the country and native country that we all love. For those of us who raised family in North America, it has been a great blessing for our children to have been exposed to the value of reward and recognition. I say so because the Ethiopian culture, as great that it is in many regards, does not reward and recognize excellence. I think tonight's event, the recognition of Dr. Tafaradagefe, should bring that to heart to all of us. An individual of the caliber of this kind of achievement and leadership for decades in the country had not received this kind of recognition that you bestowed upon him tonight. The culture in our country, in our native country, often emphasizes punishment, denial, and sacrifice. Recognitions in Ethiopia or in places like that, when they do take place, belong to the privileged few, and often based on family lineage and descent, not in professional excellence or community service. The only heroes we celebrate in Ethiopia are war heroes, and God knows we had far too many wars in Ethiopia. That's why I find it so fitting that you chose to name your award after Bikila. He was indeed the first non-war hero that we held up and celebrated in Ethiopia. True to his name Bikila, for those of you who don't speak Oromo, Bikila means sprout. True to his name, he came out, sprouted out of nowhere to become the first Ethiopian Olympic gold medalist and to eventually be celebrated as a national and international hero. And he did, as you saw the footage tonight, in the marathon, the biggest, most historic and enduring sport in the Olympics. He also did it in the most dramatic fashion by running most of those 26 miles bare feet. Uncharacteristic for an Ethiopian, heroism was not in his family lineage. His success could neither be explained in the quality of training facility or not maybe totally due to the coaching that he received. It was just a historic birth of the greatest marathon runner in the history of mankind. And to show that this was no fluke, as you heard tonight repeatedly, he repeated his epic 1960 performance in Rome with a tantalizing run in Tokyo 4 years later. When the physical challenges with injuries became great and he had to pull out halfway into the Mexico City Olympics in 1968, he willed his understudy, Sergeant Mamo Wolde, to go on strong and win it for the country. And as some of you remember, Mamo won, giving Ethiopia a 12-year reign in Olympic gold medal, a feat that had never been repeated since. I hope that the youth of this community take this to heart. The legacy of Bikila, the man your parents have chosen to venerate by naming this award after him, is that he showed the world that through hard work and discipline and brute determination and will, anything is possible. Your parents may not be marathon runners, but they too, I bet many of them had challenges that they had overcome to give you the opportunity of going to school in a country such as Canada. This is a great lesson from your parents' native country to draw upon as you face challenges in the future. The second lesson from tonight's event is that here in Canada, in your adopted country, this community respects and honors people who excel in their professions, serve their communities, and involved in the human spirit. And your own parents are leaders, good citizens, who have chosen a great cause to be a force of good in their community by creating the Bikila Award that you may continue to celebrate annually. Finally, please allow me to speak briefly about the country that we all left behind. I know that your native country may be distant and out of sight, but not fully out of mind. Our daily grind at home and work occupies all of us fully, but we each spend considerable time thinking about the critical issues that face Ethiopia. We each have causes that we want to advance. For some, our professional life is directly connected to events and programs that take place in poor nations. I consider it a blessing that indeed what I do daily in teaching, in research, in technology development, and in policy advocacy are all connected in some way and make small contributions to programs in developing countries such as Ethiopia. Among the many avenues that I have had to contribute, I'm particularly focused on opportunities in human and institutional capacity development. I believe that there is not a great way to impact development in poor nation than contributing to the strengthening of its human and institutional capacity. Like most countries of the developing nations, Ethiopia does need to expand its educational opportunities for all. The progress that has been done, made in primary, secondary, and tertiary education in Ethiopia in the last few years have been significant and splendid. In the last 10 years, large numbers of schools and colleges have mushroomed in all corners of the country, and students have enrolled in great numbers. The positive of that is poor children from rural Ethiopia had gotten opportunities of education today. That's the good news. The bad news is deteriorating quality of education. The lack of well-trained teachers and professors to produce quality and professionals with skills. Additionally, the government continues to be the sole employer, as private sector employment is meager at the moment. Graduates may be bright, but they're not well trained and without marketable skills, and hence unemployment is very high, and many don't have gainful employment. The biggest aspiration of young people in Ethiopia, and I'm sad to say in many African countries today, has become immigrating to other lands in search of better opportunities. In particular in Ethiopia, compensations in the country have not grown relative to inflation and are among the lowest in the world. As a result, professionals have not been able to effectively serve the poor in their nations. Employees have become more mobile and transient, and the chances for strengthening vital institutions in the various sectors of the economy have been dismal. There is an apparent decline in the strength of local institutions in many areas, and particularly in the agricultural sector that I know a little more about. I consider this to be an area of support that the nation would need, increased support from governments, from foundations, and even from the diaspora. I have made this an important area of focus for myself and spent considerable time in advancing this cause for Ethiopia as well as other poor nations. I share this with you not as a brag list, but to solicit your support and advocacy in this vital area that our native country needs. So finally, let me wrap up by thanking you once again for the kind invitation to join you in the historic event and this lofty cause of celebrating excellence in your community. Thank you and God bless.
Chemical Engineering and graduate program in Biomedical Engineering at the University of Western Ontario, London. His laboratory is engaged in the design of novel materials for medical devices, tissue engineering, and regenerative medicine applications, in particular for cardiovascular disease treatment. Professor McManant embodies the growing influence of chemical engineers in life sciences and made a distinguished contribution in biopolymer technologies and the applications of chemical engineering principles to medicine. His work is both transformative and translational. Dr. Kemret McManant is a professor in the Department of Chemical and Biochemical Engineering and graduate program in Biomedical Engineering at the University of Western Ontario, London. His laboratory is engaged in the design of novel materials for medical devices, tissue engineering, and regenerative medicine applications, in particular for cardiovascular disease treatment. Professor McManant embodies the growing influence of chemical engineers in life sciences and made a distinguished contribution in biopolymer technologies and the applications of chemical engineering principles to medicine. His contributions to regenerative medicine research and education have been recognized by a number of prestigious awards, such as the Canada Foundation for Innovative Awards in 2004, Ontario's Ministry of Research and Innovation Research Excellent Award in 2007, the R. Mohan Mathur Award for Excellence in Teaching in 2011, the Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council of Canada Discovery Accelerator Award in 2012, and the Faculty Scholar Award in 2014. The Bikila Awards congratulates Dr. Kemret McManant for being selected as the 2014 Professional Excellence Award winner for his distinguished contribution to biopolymer technologies and the application of chemical engineering principles to medicine.
To be with some of the finest people who have done so much and inspired so many. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to those involved in the Bikila Award for recognizing my contributions. This is truly a special award because Bikila exemplifies someone who is armed with nothing but imagination, defied many odds, and made lasting impact to inspire many generations. I don't believe that I have those qualities, but those qualities are good to think about. I'm reminded that what we are capable of doing are only limited by our own imaginations. You see, sometimes the vision has to be big. It has to be bigger than the moment in order to succeed. Like many of you, I came to Canada with imagination that I can apply my education in a very productive way that could potentially help people someday and somewhere. As a professor at Western, I have had the opportunity to educate the next generation of scientists and engineers, and also to engage myself in research that will invent the future. Education is the foundation of any society. And for the younger generation, I say this. And when I say this, I'm not implying that I'm too old. But I urge the younger generation to focus on your education despite some challenges that you may face along the way. There will be some challenges. But I'm sure you'll overcome those. For those of you who have the means, I encourage to make a positive impact in your society. We may not know this, but we have more to give than to receive. And remember, it is more blessed to give than to receive. Finally, I would like to thank my former and current graduate students. And as I often say when I go to conferences, I'm just a storyteller. They actually do the work, and I go and I present it. And then therefore, I was blessed to have some outstanding graduate students in the past, and I continue to have in my lab, and I would like to recognize them tonight. And finally, I would like to recognize and to thank my family, especially my wife, Salam. I'm not particularly good around the dinner table. She knows that. I guess what happens in a professor is you are surrounded by books. And so sometimes that's challenging, and thank you very much for supporting me and the support that you are providing me. And once again, thank you very much for the honor bestowed upon me, and good night. Thank you.
Dr. Claire Payne. I have invited her here for her distinguished professional achievement.
A true friend of Ethiopia and stellar professional, Dr. Claire Payne is an associate professor of the Department of Psychiatry at the University of Toronto. She is also the director of psychological trauma program at Mount Sinai Hospital. She consults at the Canadian Centre for Victims of Torture, Toronto, and is the director of the Toronto Addis Ababa Psychiatry Project and is the coordinator of the Toronto Addis Ababa Academic Collaboration, under which there are currently 16 educational partnerships between the University of Toronto and Addis Ababa University in Ethiopia. In 2014, she was conferred with an honorary Doctor of Science by Addis Ababa University. She has lectured and taught on various aspects of psychological trauma, including transcultural issues and increasingly on global mental health. She has published a number of articles and 2 books. The Bikila Award congratulates Dr. Claire Payne for being selected as the 2014 Professional Excellence Award winner in psychiatry and exemplary contribution to the development of mental health services in Ethiopia.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me to give a very warm reception to the 2014 Professional Excellence Bikila Award winner, Dr. Claire Payne.
Express my gratitude well enough to thank you all for this incredible award. And I'd like to thank the Bikila Award committee very much too. It's a great honor. And it's been a great honor for the last 10 years to travel to Ethiopia and
and to train the residents. I get a lot of credit for our project, but actually it's the over 100 professors of psychiatry we've taken out in the last 10 years to teach the young residents there about mental health and mental illness. And we're very proud that we have a 95% retention rate, actually, of the young residents who continue to live and practice in Addis, in Ethiopia. As David MacDonald said, and others too, one receives so much more than one gives. And especially I've learned from my Ethiopian friends and colleagues about community. And I'm going to try and quote a wonderful proverb that I learned there. Debayaba ambasa yasser. For my friends, it means that, I think this is what it means, it's like individually we're like spiders' webs, but together we can rope a lion. Yes. And that's what you exemplify, the Ethiopian community in Ethiopia, but also the Ethiopian community in Toronto, in Canada. And I hope that our mutual rope between us will grow stronger as we all work to help the Ethiopians in Ethiopia as well as here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Penn. Now, the next part will be, we're going to cover, I guess, the young people now. I know some of you young people are going to say, whatever, right? When you hear what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it. Listen to your parents. Maths is good. It's my great pleasure to introduce to you the 2014 Bikila Award Professional Excellence Award winner, Dr. Bikila Award, for her research in developing statistical computer techniques that have revolutionized historical document data. Let's watch the video.
The truth is out there, famously said Agent Mulder in the X-Files. For Dr. Galila, the facts are out there. Dr. Galila Tiller was born in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. After completing her undergraduate and graduate degrees in mathematics at Concordia and McGill Universities in Montreal, respectively, she moved to Toronto to start her doctoral studies in statistical science at the University of Toronto, which she completed in 2011. Her doctoral thesis focused on developing statistical methods for text analysis. She recently completed a postdoctoral fellowship in bioinformatics, also at the University of Toronto. Her research focused on the application of statistical methods in text analysis to identify the non-coding regions of the DNA that are responsible for turning genes on or off. Dr. Galila's research work in text analysis has been reviewed by the MIT Technology Review and has been published in leading statistical journals and presented at statistical conferences in Canada and the US. Her work has been presented at archival conferences in France and Italy. The popular press, such as NBCNews.com and the University of Toronto News, has also reviewed her work. Her recent academic devotions in the application of computational and statistical techniques to biological data processing and analysis, particularly in genomics, is exemplary to our youth in our community. The Bikila Awards congratulates Dr. Galila Tenu for being selected as the 2014 Professional Excellence Award winner for her research in developing statistical computer techniques that have revolutionized historical document dating.
Let's give a warm reception to Dr. Bikila Award.
formulas that you saw, the mathematical formulas, also intimidate me, so don't worry about it. I would like to thank the Bikila Award Committee for their hard work for organizing this event, and to those who have come to attend. I'm very humbled and extremely honored to receive the Bikila Award. My research work in the statistics department at the University of Toronto had focused on developing statistical methods for the dating of historical documents. This work is important to those historians who study the social, economic, and political changes of a particular time period. The documents I worked on, written in Latin, date from the 10th through early 14th century in England. Of these, at least 1 million were left undated, largely due to the administrative style present in the early medieval England. Correctly dating such documents is of vital importance to the study of English medieval history. I set out to develop a computer-automated statistical method in order to reduce the considerable effort that would otherwise have been required to date the documents manually. These statistical methods can now be applied more widely for such tasks as identifying forged documents, document place of issue, and authorship. I'm very grateful to Professor Andre Feuerberger, my PhD thesis supervisor, and to Professor Michael Jervis, whose responsibilities include compiling the Deeds database of historical manuscripts. Both of those professors are at the University of Toronto. I would also like to thank Professor Peter Hall of the Australian National University for his collaboration on one of these dating methodologies. Now, having gotten my PhD by essentially correcting work originally done by English secretaries some 700 years ago, I felt it would be a good idea to apply this new statistical technique to solving a much more urgent and up-to-date problem, that of Ethiopian manuscripts that can be up to 800 years older than the English ones. Besides being a scholar of medieval Europe, Professor Michael Jervis, and I can't see it from here, but if Professor Michael Jervis just his mind is filled with knowledge of Ethiopian history, art, and architecture, and he's just loads of fun to talk to if you get the chance to talk to him, please. He has been involved for many years, in fact decades, in digitally photographing for the purposes of cataloging many of the treasures that are found in monasteries scattered throughout Ethiopia. This effort is vital if we in the future are to build a database of Ethiopian historical texts, like what we have for English medieval documents, in order to study the evolution and influences of Ethiopian artistic styles and history of the dissemination of religious texts. Technique for text and image analysis, including statistical methodologies, exist, but they are meaningless in the absence of a quality database. To describe them briefly, some of these texts, such as a book in the Abba Garima Monastery in Tigray, date back to the 6th century. Along with religious literature, these books contain exquisite paintings of various religious figures displaying distinctive artistic styles. An important fact to mention here is that the concept of a book, as opposed to a scroll, did not exist prior to the 6th century. This means that some of the oldest texts in the form of a book are to be found in Ethiopia. And this is remarkable, and I had no idea until 2 weeks ago when Michael Jervis told me about it. The need to digitally capture Ethiopian ancient art and text, a prelude to building a high-quality database, is now urgent and critical, since we are losing many of these primary source texts to water damage, rats, vermin, worms, etc. Seeing images of these ancient books that have been chewed up by rats is extremely disheartening, not to mention also the formidable obstacles one encounters from regional and local religious authorities that don't allow access to texts for the purposes of digitization. In fact, there is a blanket ban on digitizing Ethiopian manuscripts. The only ones who profit from this ban, according to Professor Jervis, are the rats. As well, finding funds for digitization efforts is difficult. Even if we cannot save many of these priceless books that can rival the text collections of leading museums in the Western world, we can at least digitally preserve their contents. I don't have a solution to all these problems, but the need for solution is now as urgent as ever. In closing, I would very much like to thank my family and friends for their support and encouragement for the work I do. Thank you so much.
Men and women who have stepped up and taken the journey of life seriously and dedicated their lives to creating change and leaving sustainable legacies. For this evening, our last speaker is Dr. Mambara, and please now watch the video.
To date, has provided meals to over 1,800 homeless individuals in her pact to give back to the world. She has also supported girls in the community by hosting adequate dinners and financing tuition for Northern Light School. She has attributed her success to adhering to 3 basic principles in life. 1, strive to do right by others. 2, give back. And 3, never settle for less or compromise one's goal. She says, there is a huge door and you have to push through that door to achieve. And what you get from the world. So you have to give back to the world as well. Dr. Bikila Award's outstanding success and philanthropic contribution in America is a great inspiration to our community. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Dr. Bikila Award.
ክቡራትና ክቡራን ሰላምና ጤና ለእናንተ እንዲሆን እመኛለሁ። በተጨማሪም ደግሞ ሰላም፣ ጤና፣ አንድነት፣ ብልጽግና፣ ዕድገት፣ ልምላሜ ለአንዷ ለሀገራችን ለኢትዮጵያ እንዲሆን እመኛለሁ። በተጨማሪም ደግሞ ለዚህ ለመጀመሪያውና ለታላቁ የበቂላ አዋርድ ሴሬሞኒ የክብር እንግዳ ሆኜ እንድገኝ በአክብሮት ስለጋበዛችሁኝ አመሰግናለሁ። I love Toronto. Thank you. ሲደርሰኝ በመጀመሪያ አበበ ቢቂላ የሚለውን ሳይ ወዲያውኑ በጭንቅላት የመጣው ያ የልጅነት ዘመኔ ነው። እሱም ምንድነው ድብብቆች ተጫውቼ ታሸንፍ ይዘፈን የነበረው እረ ይሻልሻል ይሻልሻል አበበ ቢቂላ ያገባሻል ለላም ለሰሰይ ይሻል ነገሩ አበበ ማላገባኝ አሁንም አዳረኝ የቱም አልባረኩኝ እኔም ሀገር ተነስቼ ጠልቄ ይወጣ በጣሊያን ሀገር ለረጅም ጊዜ በሮም ከተማ በኖርኩበት ወቅት ጣሊያኖች መጀመሪያ ሲያዩኝ የመጀመሪያ ጥያቄያቸው ከየት ነው የመጣሽው የሚለው እኔም ምን አይነት የተደነቋቆረ ጥያቄ ነው እንዲሁ ከላይ እስከታች ተመልክቶ ከየት እንደመጣሁ ማወቅ ያስቸግራል። ምክንያቱም እኛ ኢትዮጵያኖች እንኳንስ ፊት ለፊት በገጽታ ታይተን ይቅርና በፀሐይ ጨረር መሬት ላይ የሚያልፈው ጥላችን እንኳን በክብደቱና በግርማ ሞገሱ ከኢትዮጵያ ላይ መጣሁት ነው። ባቄላ ይምን ባቄላ ኖ ሲኞራ አበበ ቢቂላ ሲሲሲ ቢቂላ የስ ሲኞራ ኢትዮጵያ ብራቫ you got that right ወደፊት እንግዲህ በጠንቀቅ እያላችሁ ማለት ይሄ እንግዲህ የሚያሳየው ምንድነው የኢትዮጵያ ውጭ ሀገር እንኳን የሚመጣ ጠላት ኢትዮጵያን ለመደምሰስ ለማጥቃት ወደ ኢትዮጵያ መጥቶ ተደብድቦ ተሸንፎ ወደ ሀገሩ ከተመለሰ በኋላ ኢትዮጵያን በጀግኖች ልጆቿ ያስታውሳታል፣ ያስባታል። እነኛ ላባቸውን አፍስሰው ደማቸውን አንጠፍጥፈው የኢትዮጵያን ቋሚ መሰረት ታላቅ ስም መስርተው ባለፉት ታላቅ ኢትዮጵያውያኖች ኢትዮጵያ ዛሬ ትታወቃለች። ያም መሰረት የጣለው ባልተበከለ ንጹህ ኢትዮጵያዊ ደም ጠብታ ላይ ያም ደም አይነቱ አንድ ነው፣ እሱም አንድነት ነው። ኢትዮጵያ ዛሬ የተመሰረተችው በመከፋፈል በመለያየት ላይ ሳይሆን አባቶቻችን ጠንክረው ባቋቋሙት አንድነት በሚለው መሰረት ነው። ዛሬ እኛ ኢትዮጵያኖች በቋንቋ፣ በዘር፣ በሃይማኖት፣ በጎሳ፣ በጾታ አልፎ ተርፎ በቤተ ክርስቲያን መከፋፈልን እንደ ጀብዱ መቁጠር የለብንም። ታዲያ አንድነት ብለን ስንነሳ ዛሬ ወንዶችም ሆኑ ሴቶች ወደ ስፖርት ቤት ሄደን የምናጠናክረውና የምናዳብረው የክንዳችን ጡንቻ የፍቅረኞቻችንን አንገት ለማንተራስ ብቻ ሆኖ መቅረት የለበትም። ሞፈሩን፣ ቀንበሩን፣ ማጭዱን፣ መዶሻውን አንስቶ ለሀገር ብልጽግና ለሀገር አንድነት መስራት አለበት። ሞፈርና ቀንበሩን ማንሳት የማይችለው ደግሞ ሞፈር ቀንበሩን ማንሳት የማይችለው ደግሞ ብዕሩን ያንሳ፣ ሰሌዳውን ያንሳ፣ ጠመኔውን ያዝ፣ ቀለሙን ያጥቀስ። ያንን ማንሳት የማይችለው ደግሞ ድምፁን ከፍ አድርጎ ያሰማ፣ ድምፁን ያንሳ፣ አንድነት ይበል። ቁጥር መቁጠር ስንጀምር፣ ሂሳብ መቁጠር ስንጀምር ኢትዮጵያ 1፣ ኢትዮጵያ 2፣ ኢትዮጵያ 3 ደግሞ ጠጋ ብሎ 4 እዛች ጋር ደግሞ ትንሽ ሌላ ኢትዮጵያ 5 እያልን መቁጠርን መማር የለብንም። ኢትዮጵያ ብለን አንድ ቁጥር ላይ ማቆም አለብን። በአንጻሩ ግን መተባበር፣ መረዳዳት፣ የወደቀውን ማንሳት፣ የደከመውን ማጠናከር፣ ያልተማረውን ማስተማር፣ የተራበውን ማብላት፣ የታረዘውን ማልበስ፣ የደከመውን ማጠናከር፣ ማበረታታት እያልን ቁጥሩን መጨመር አለብን። ኢትዮጵያ ብለን ግን አንድ ቁጥር ላይ ብቻ ማቆም አለብን። እነኛ አባቶቻችን በደማቸው ቀለም አሸብርቀው አድምቀው የሰጡን አረንጓዴ፣ ቢጫ፣ ቀይ ሰንደቅ ዓላማ ዛሬ በፀሐይ ሐሩርና በአውሎ ነፋስ ቀለሙ እየደበዘዘ እንዳይጠፋ እያንዳንዳችን ጥላና ከለላ ሆኖ ይኖርብናል። ዛሬ በሀገራችን ውስጥ ያለው እየወጣ በቀላሉ እንዳይከፋፈል ከውጭ ደግሞ በአይነ ቁራኛ አድፍጦ የሚጠብቀው ገብቶ ቦታ እንዳያጣብበን ወይም ደግሞ እኛም ገብቶ እንዳያስወጣን ሀገር ቢስ እንዳያደርገን መግቢያ ቢስ እንዳያደርገን መቀበሪያ ቢስ እንዳያደርገን ያ በስፖርት የጠነከረው ጡንቻችን በኢትዮጵያ ዙሪያ ጠንካራና ቋሚ የብረት አጥር የመገንባት ኃላፊነት አለበት። ንግግሬን ከመጨረሴ በፊት ሁላችሁም ከኔ ጋር ተስማማላችሁ ብዬ የማስበውን ነገር መጥቀስ እፈልጋለሁ። ምክንያቱም እኔ ከዛ አይነት መከራና ጭቆና ውስጥ የመጣሁኝና እዚህ የደረስኩኝ ስለሆንኩኝ እንደምትተባበሩኝ አምናለሁ። which is about Nigerian girls. It can't be only one weak news. It can't be because they are Nigerian. You are not only Canadian or Ethiopian, are you? I don't think so. I'm sorry, you are not. You are not. All of you, you have iPad, iPhone, television, radio, computer, internet. All of you, you have. You can connect. When you connect, you are in the center of the world. When you are in the center of the world, you are a citizen of the world. You click, in 1 second, you get information. You know what's happening in another country. Knowledge, it comes with responsibility. All of us, we have responsibility to do something. Those beautiful young girls, they must be free. If we are not stand up now, this type of problem, it will come in our country too, in our door too. Those beautiful girls, they must be free to be outside, to smile, to sing, to dance, to jump, to be with the mother, in the kitchen, to cook, to learn how to be a lady. More than anything, they must be at the school, behind the desk. That's what they belong. to learn how to be a good citizen, to dream about the future, to be a president, to be a teacher, a professor, a doctor, a nurse, engineer, to be a first lady, because they are first lady for this world. All of us who have responsibility to do something. So, if you believe, if you like, if you think, I want to make a difference in this world. If you believe to make a difference in this world, please stand up. Don't worry, I'm not asking you money. If you are against the violence, please stand up. Okay, great. If you want to see only peace in this world, in the earth, please stand up. Wonderful. You see, now all of us we stand united, connected. All of us we stand for one purpose: peace and love. I love you. Thank you so very much for inviting me. The way how we remember and then we say thank you, recognize this young, beautiful people. We have to remember also other Ethiopians or other people on the street outside. They don't have future. They don't have anything. So thank you very much. I want to say thank you all of you. And I want to say thank you my lovely son. He came all the way down from New York to see me. So thank you very much all of you.
His name is Abel Tesfaye.
Abel Tesfaye, known by his stage name as The Weeknd, is a Grammy and Juno Award-winning singer, songwriter, and producer. Abel pursued his childhood dream of becoming a musician, in which he excelled and achieved his dream beyond expectations. He has achieved international success, performing in Canada, the US, and Europe. This Ethiopian-Canadian singer-songwriter may be just 24 years old, but he is already a force to be reckoned with. He has launched his own record label and is currently on a North American King of the Fall tour. In October 2014, he will be honored at Canada's Walk of Fame show for his contribution to music in Canada. The Bikila Awards congratulates Abel Tesfaye for being selected as the 2014 Professional Excellence Award and has
Abel has accepted the award. As I said, he's unable to be with us tonight because of the scheduling conflict, and we will make sure the award is delivered to him according to his instructions. So, on his behalf, believe me, Mumbara is not going to take it to California. Abel's parents are here, and I wonder if Samrat can come and...